We got a couple of comments from everybody that joined last week about visibility, being able to see what Naoto-san's working on. So we've got a third camera down there where you'll actually be able to see what he's working on. So hopefully that improves and you can learn a little more. And without further ado, away to you, Naoto.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. I don't know how many people have tuned in. We decided to sacrifice one of my phone. We used to use it for Instagram Live to showcase what I'm doing like right here. So the people will be able to see how I hold a knife, how to do that kind of stuff, right? So this should hopefully it's going to work out for everyone. Also, today what we're going to talk about is to as I said last week, I'm going to show you how to get the convex bevel on the knives. What that means is that we get a lot of questions, and even like on my personal / work Instagram saying, hey, if you keep sharpening the bevel on the flat stone, wouldn't you eventually get the bevel super flat? Not necessarily. So I'll show you how to make to keep the nice convex on the bevel like these guys here. Right? Okay. Alrighty. So in order to attain that I was actually gonna get the nice. Give me 1 second.
No worries, Naoto. So today, if you're just joining us, Naoto's going to be doing a convex grind on a knife, the way to make the knife a little bit stronger and we help it stay sharp longer and perform better for certain tasks.
So knives are usually sharpened like this way. So it's got a little bit more carve like this from the both sides, makes it a little bit more stronger, and then they put the final bevel right here at the edge part. This we call it the cobalt or the micro bevel. When we sharpen the bevel though, we sharpen it on the very flat stone. So what happens is that if you draw the straight line, only this part touches on the stone. What you basically have to do though is to make multiple angles, then make it all the way together. That's how you want to get the convex bevel. There are a few ways, and there are a few ways that the blacksmith does this process. But when you're sharpening with those stones, wet stones that's super flat, this is probably the easiest way to do that. In order to do this, I spent about an hour yesterday through all my stones right here. So these stones are pretty flat. It's important. So because as you use your sharpening stones, whether it's harder stone or softer stones, they'll eventually wear down. And wear down by means they have a little bit of a dish on the stone, right? So in order to control the convex, that the angle that you want to sharpen at, it's really important to have that that bevel or the stone super flat. Okay.
We got a quick comment just from DJ Sergietto. Just said he ordered the Knife Nerd book and is really excited about it because he heard about the quote unquote geeky metallurgy section that you wrote on it, which I think is a lot of people's favorite part. But he says he's gonna have a few questions for you today if you don't mind.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. So today I decided to sharpen this Deba. I could have sharpened a regular double bevel knife with the bevel like these, but I decided to do a Deba because Deba has so much more nice convex on this bevel. In order to make Deba is a type of knife to butcher the fish or cutting into the little bones and stuff like that, right? So you want to have a little bit more nice convex to make a stronger edge to it. So this is my personal Deba. I have the Urasuki a little bit, Urasuki a little bit getting a little bit low, so I have to fix it. But so I'll show you. I have this 220 stone from Sharpening glass series. I like this stone. It holds the flatness a little bit longer as well. So, but you know what? I'll show you actually something different to start. Okay. So what I would do is I'll start off from this stone here, the Kencho Itadaki, the really hard Kencho Itadaki 3000 hard vitrified stone and super white. What this does is that this shows you where that knife is touched on the stone. So as you can see, when you put the bevel down flat, well, when you put the knife down flat on the bevel on the sharpening stones, seems like this bevel is touching all the way, right? Like, the whole bevel is touching, like it does look like it.
Looks like it.
If you pivot it like here and moves it, it does move tiny bit. That means it has a little bit of a convex to it. So what I'm going to do is to show you, I'm going to hold put the pressure just on the heel of this knife here and sharpen a few strokes. Okay. Always see this. First, on the stone here, you can only see this dark marks right here. This is where that the stone or the knife is touched on the stone. Because I'm pressing down a little bit hard on the heel part right here, it reflects on the stone. So it touches only this part, right? This part is still nice enough. And on the stone as well, on the knife as well, I'm trying to see if this works. Where's my camera? Oh, right here.
Yeah, we can see that. Are you showing us sort of the polish that you got from that stone in that little section?
Yeah, so stone polish, I'm just gonna draw actually. It touched this part below. And sorry, this part has not touched, nor all here. So only this part has touched on the stone. That means even I just threw my stone like right before I sharpen them, it doesn't touch all the way. In order for me to sharpen the part right here is to change the angle slightly. See, I'm holding it right here. And if I move my finger tiny bit farther up here, then I'll start to pressing it down the part that wasn't touched before. So this is actually pretty good. So you can see the marker. Oops, marker sign is gone. There's still some left here. That means it has not touched. But I've done this, and that was basically two angles, right? So it's got this little bit farther closer to the edge, then a little bit more farther up to the shinogi. Some knives I do a 2 or 3 or 4 different, slight different angles to do so. Something that I can actually show you really quick is that you actually run on the those stones, like the wheel stones, that actually shows you a lot more on the difference in that the color change or the polish change. But this is really a good way to tell how much, I guess, the convex this knife is. because it touches like only one spot.
And you're just changing that angle by moving your fingers towards or away from the edge a little bit, right?
Yeah. Here or here. That actually has a little bit like this. You see it slow, like very small movement right here. So that's how I get the, some knife makers, they do use the wheel like this guy and then put it down and they move the wrist tiny bit like this so that they get a, but this is not really a consistent. You can't really get a very consistent angle with it. So that's how I get this. So this is how I test first. What I'm going to do, and it's important to chew your stones with pretty frequently, even with little bit of strokes on the stone. And this stone's been really hard, as you can see. This dark spots is the part that's actually pushed down. I'm using pretty flat stone to chew, so I will have to work with this diamond plate a little bit to go all the way down to the this part. So so
if the folks at home are wondering, how often should they be chewing their stones?
As much as, well, if you're nerd enough, you should chew them as much as you can. Generally speaking, though, every one sharpening, you may just want to quickly chew your stones. When I was pretty lazy, I used to chew my stones every say 4 or 5 knives, but it's best to do it every. Another reason why I just chew that particular stone, that is my like my ruler. I made sure that particular stone is as true as possible, so that the when I'm checking if that the knife has a little bit of convex, concave, checking all the conditions, I use that stone. That's why I do chew that stone much more often than other stones. It's like, you know,
it's your litmus test, basically.
Yeah, because it's a ruler, right? You want to make sure the ruler is accurate. All right.
And what are you doing now?
So this, since I checked the edge, I moved down. That was actually 3,000. I moved down to Shapton 220 grit to do actual sharpening. So as I was doing very similar, put the pressure down at the edge, then a little bit upper here. Especially the bevel, the narrow bevel like these ones, I probably do 2 angles, and I going to use some other stones to connect to those 2 lines, because it's not as. So what I'm doing is like, it's almost like this, right? And I'm going to use the stone that's a little bit softer to break this kind of, you know, like line here. You don't see them as much. You will see this line a little bit if you're using a little bit of harder stone, but the this would be pretty good there.
And why do you start towards the edge when you're doing this step as opposed to further up the bevel?
You mean, what do you mean?
You mentioned you're starting at the edge of the bevel, yeah, right where the edge of the knife is. Why would you start there as opposed to on the other side of the bevel?
Oh, so the reason why is that I start from the edge to make sure, especially for a lot of when I'm especially fixing a knife that or chipped or has been sharpened very differently or the wrongly. What I would do is try to get as thin, how thin I want to get at the edge first. then start from there and then bring it up, because sometimes what I have seen is that, for example, when I have the knife that has been, I should probably get some backings. 1 second. So, for example, when you have the knife that has been chipped or sharpened wrong, the edge needed to take quite a bit of off. So it's like it tapers, but because it's chipped or some like a lot of reasons, I needed to take this much off, and I want to bring that edge back. What I would do is to first, there's always Japanese knives usually have the core steel like this, right? I try to get to the first like bottom bit to get that the middle to the center and have the both ends nicely ground. Then I will start to grinding basically this angle. So I try to sharpen it here, then I'll sharpen it here, right? One thing that you have to be a little bit more careful when you try to sharpen it down, especially from this angle up, there is always the potential of making this way too thin first. That makes the edge a lot more fragile. So I'm trying to make it nicer curve like this rather than going down this way. Would make sense? I love this camera. It actually works really, really well. Hopefully,
yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And that the camera's looking great. If anybody in the comments has feelings about the angle of the camera, please let us know. We're trying to make this better.
Only thing
you got time for a few questions from viewers?
Absolutely.
So DJ Sergieto's got a couple questions, but the first one is, and you'll probably get to this, but how do you sharpen a single bevel knife on the back concave side? Do you start from a 3K stone and upwards?
Right. So when I'm sharpening something like this, I wouldn't use anything really coarse. I would use the Kencho 3000 to see if the knife is flat. Then, if that needs a little bit of grinding, I may go down to the 1000, but that's as low as I would go. Then start going back up to probably for deba like this one, I'll go back up to all the way to 3000. I don't usually finish my deba, the fish fillet knife, with very high grit because it starts to lose its bite. And try to cut it into the fish skins and stuff. I want to keep that nice bitiness to my knife, so I don't usually go all the way up there. So here, I'm positioning my finger closer to the edge, and I move my finger a little bit more farther up here. Okay.
Awesome. Iggy and Sean said the new camera looked great, so thanks for doing that, Naoto.
No, I thought about it. I've always wanted to have this angle, but it's hard because having just this camera, they can't really see me doing anything. So.
Dr. G, who always has good questions for us, says, "Hi, Naoto. Have you gotten the book Knife Engineering, Steel Heat Treating and Geometry by Laren Thomas yet?" He says it's a great book.
I was looking at them today, actually. I was going to just click buy today. So after this, I'm probably just going to really click on it and buy it.
That's awesome. He's strongly of the opinion that you should buy it. He says that he's currently developing his own cutlery steel through Crucible. It's going to be a stainless steel with properties similar to 3V, and it sounds really exciting for kitchen knives.
Yeah, I've read. I've gone on his website and I've read some of the articles that he wrote. Very intelligent, and like how it's written is very nicely written. So yes, I was gonna actually purchase it right before. I was actually talking to our staff in Ottawa, Alex, about that, and like we got into like a little talk. So right now here, as you can see, I sharpen one. Say for example on the top here, I do put the pressure down at the tip and tiny bit on the bevel part, so it's got a nice convex. I'm still missing this part right here, hey?
Wow, no kidding.
So this part, when you're sharpening and see where it has not been touched on the stone, make sure you just change the angle and see like a little bit of angle change will get to that. Really key is to check as much as you can, because that's really I've always tell the customers who comes to the sharpening class, your eyes are a very strong tool when it comes to a sharpening. See like lines, the grinds, and all that stuff are going to be a indicator of where and how you are where you're sharpening and how you're doing. So yeah, like check as often as you can. I'm not sure when or if I'm going to do, but I just took the whole video on you both using the wheel and the this sharpening the other day. So if I may just do like really fast forward video and upload them somewhere, but the what I do is that, and I didn't realize, but I do 5-6 strokes and check, 5-6 strokes and check pretty frequently. So that's really another key of the success, because you don't want to sharpen one part too much, right?
That was something that made me a lot better at sharpening that I picked up from you. Was you seem to spend almost as much time looking at the knife as you do sharpening it, and I found that's really improved my skill, just adapting that technique. That video you took would make a really good Instagram reel. We'll talk later, and I can talk to you about the software I'm using to edit them. It's quite easy. Fighting Usyk has a couple comments. Says apparently Laren's an awesome resource for steel. He also recommends the website Science of Sharp, Knife Steel Nerds, and Zed Knives. Do you have any other favorites, Naoto?
I do read a lot of Japanese blogs. There is a guy who does a sharpening in Tokyo, and he does write pretty good blog. I can't remember the name, but I've learned a lot from him. Like when I started it, he covers a whole bunch of how to sharpen the single bevels, how to sharpen scissors and such. I think Togi, Togi, I think, but his blog was pretty good. Another one that I do follow in terms of sharpening is that the little blog written by the Aoki-san from the Susan. It's also in Japanese, but he goes very, very deep into the sharpening. So it's yeah, those two like ones that I I'm sure you can translate, like you can just hit translate in Japanese or Japanese to English and do that. But I've been reading those ones, as well as there's a guy, chef guy in Japan, who writes a whole bunch of the knives and stuff like that. Here, so this stone, Kencho Itadaki, the ceramic hard stone, the 1000 grit. This one's great. After sharpening on 220, I wanted to check how my convex is going. grab something like a Chosera, or the Naniwa Professional, or the Kencho Itadaki stone like this. Make sure the surface or the stone is super flat. When you sharpen on these guys, what happens is that this will show you that. So when I was finished on the 220 stone, it was a little bit more, like it did look more even. Now, especially if you look at the tip side here, you see it's a little bit, you can see like almost like lines.
Yeah.
Right? This lines. This line is this line. So it's like this, it's not like this yet. So using a hard stone will make it look like it's like still a straight line put together.
It's where you're breaking those peaks that you formed.
Yeah, exactly. So this will exacerbate those peaks and make it visible. So these lines are visible peak lines on a convex edge. Make sense?
Very cool. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. That's a good trick too.
So I like to use really hard stone like Kencho 1000 or Kencho Itadaki series, which is really hard stone like these, or the even you can use one of those Naniwa Professional series that they are pretty hard as well.
You talk a lot about keeping your stones flat. What's the best option for flattening your stones?
Diamond plate. Make sure that this surface is as flat as possible. Diamond plate. And on diamond plate on the aluminum base. That's pretty good. The aluminum base is less likely to warp or change its flatness. So these are fantastic tool if you don't have any. It is like $100+, but if you are into the lots of sharpenings, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth the investment. We do sharpen, we do go through the stones quite a bit, but if you're at home sharpening casually, the benefit definitely exceeds over the regular chewing stones. That's like $36.
So what are you working on now?
So this one is on also the same Kencho Itadaki 3000. What I do though is this also tells you the nice lines, but this actually does give a little bit more nicer, more prominent lines here and here. And don't worry if you have these lines, because as I said, I will be using some stones to break those peaks. Okay?
Cool. Got time for a couple more questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
So DJ Sergieto's getting right to the point. He just wants to know who is the best knife sharpener at Knifewear.
I'm the nerdiest, I guess.
I think you're also the best. I think you're just far too modest to say it.
The best
is who else is really good?
Francis in Vancouver is really good. Alex is really good. In Ottawa.
Francis is real nerdy about it too.
Yeah. This is hard. Hard to say, right?
Well, the good news is we're going to have another knife sharpening competition coming up pretty soon, because we had one a couple years ago, but we've got another one planned for sometime this year, and we're going to make it even more difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, the best.
Uh,
Oftentimes, I do have a little bit more time because I do get to kind of spend my own time doing this. So I like for store levels, it's a little bit hard. They have like 50 knives to sharpen in a certain period of time. That so
they get a lot of knives to sharpen, and they got to get them done quick.
fairly really fast. It's not like you have to do it super quick, but
same person, DJ Sergietto wants to know, what sharpening books do you recommend for getting to the next level, kind of learning the type of stuff you're talking about and getting really good?
Sharpening book. Oh, the sharpening book is hard. There is a book written by a guy who developed this Kencho series, Tsukiyama, the Fujiwara-san from Tsukiyama Hamano. His book is pretty good, but as the ones that I've read in Japanese, at least Japanese ones, they don't really talk. They don't really go deep enough into those topic. So the Fujiwara-san's book is again really really good, but it does need a lot more practice and self exploration. I guess you have to practice yourself in order to get to the next level.
And that's Masashi Fujiwara-san, right?
Yeah, Masashi Fujiwara-san. His book has both English and Japanese. Even one of the nerdier book that I got from him, that was pretty good, but it's all in Japanese. And I wish he was talking just about the kitchen knives, but he went into talking about the chisels and stuff like that. So that was slightly irrelevant. Not irrelevant, but he started, plane blades. He started talking about the plane blades. In order to sharpen your plane perfectly, you have to, the base wood, you have to have your base wood plane and trued before going down. Like, right. Which
Yeah, sharpening different tools. Like we sharpen a lot of straight razors with Kennebec wood, and there's some similar concepts, but a lot of it's just entirely different.
Mm-hmm. So I just moved to this Knifewear 1000. My favorite stone because it has good grindability. It grinds the steel quite fast, but as well it's pretty soft. So this stone is actually quite nice stone to break those peaks that you made, because as you sharpen them, those broken down stone pieces will cover and gradually grind that part there, the peaks.
Kyle Bolden just joined us, and he says, "Hi Naoto, this is exactly what I did to my petty from Minaka-san. I finally got the polish on the ATS-34, looking good too.
Nice.
Took an Ozuku stone to get that milky kind of graininess that he was looking for."
Nice. Ozuku, I found it's really, you have to find the right knife and the right bevel, right type of, I guess, steel that's used to get the really nice finish. Also depends on what, I guess, which layer of Ozuku it is too. Some of the harder ones are a little bit hard to get to the finish, because it kind of creates, like as I said, creates a little bit more peaks. It's hard stone, right?
Good question from Sean here. Any word on when you guys will be able to restock the Kencho diamond plates? Got a couple of Otoma plates, but they're starting to wear out, and figured he should just hold off and buy one of the Kencho.
The really biggest advantage I found in the Kencho, like even though I have this one here, the Kencho diamond plate with the lines, how fast it grinds the stone, Atoma is great. that's after using the several Kencho diamond stone. Atoma is great. So I put actually Atoma on the Kencho plate.
Nice.
So
because the Kencho is really good for that thick base, right?
Yeah. Biggest advantage is the thick base. Yeah, it's so I make it a little bit more. The problem right now is that he only ships with the EMS, and any EMS shipment from Japan to Canada is suspended because there isn't any enough flights going back and forth here to Japan.
Right. That's not convenient.
No. Right. So
it's been tough to get anything from Japan or anywhere in the world for that matter.
Yeah. Well, EMS is really slow right now. So, and that's one of the fastest postal service, I guess, right? So
yeah, no kidding.
Has a little bit of unevenness, but it will get to the point. But now you start to see there are less and less lines, right? Less lines. It's got a little bit more. Yeah, so that's how you may want to get to this point. Yeah, use different stones. Different make has different characteristics, and how they work is different. So but the general principle is really to work 1, 2, or 3, even some of them 4 different angles to get to each convex. Yeah. In order to get the concave, like a Japanese deba do have the little concave part right here. It's called Urasuki. This is a little bit more difficult. What you want to do is to use one of those stones like these. We're waiting on the parts right now. Hopefully it's going to be here pretty soon. And because it's rounded, if you put it on like this, it's going to touch on the parts. It's still a little bit too much of the carb, so I may just have to move it like this to get the back sharpened. But yeah, something that you have to be careful. I've seen lots of knife makers, sharpeners, polishers, even from Japan, the certain parts of Japan likes to use the stones that actually sparks a lot. Heat is not the greatest thing for the knives. Those knives are usually quenched, but also tempered at the lower temperature, like 150 degrees to 200 degrees. That's Celsius. So the 180 is like 350 degree oven, which isn't that like hard to attain, I guess. So
yeah, right.
Right, like even people, some amateur knife makers, they just put the knife in the oven to temper, right, after quench.
Yep. You remember Nick that used to work with us?
Yeah.
He's moved back to the East Coast and he's become a knife maker, and that's what he's using right now to quench his oven. Make
sure he uses convex, the convection oven, eh?
Right. Otherwise, he's not going to get the evenness. I'll let him know.
Yeah.
Amanda Bergener, that used to work with us, says hello.
Hello, Amanda.
Long time no see, Amanda.
Oh. Come say hi sometimes. Well, it's probably not the best time these days, but.
DJ Sergiano, yet another good question, saying, number 1, how do you straighten the blade before you sharpen it?
Good question. I do use the technique that Masashi-san told me. How he does, I'm just gonna, because this camera is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great view. I'm really loving this.
Yeah. So I usually test the edge, look at the edge on top and see if there's any that's like bent or anything like that. Then when I find the bent, I put the pressure down. Make sure this whatever table that you were doing is the just gonna move this here. Table that you were doing is low enough that you can actually press it down. Press onto where you want to bend and lift the handle up a bit. The deba is hard. It's easier for the regular. That's the one way. That's the way I have been doing. We have the tool that we keep. The stick like this with these here. I'm going to have a better version of this soon, actually. So
this relates to his follow-up question, which is, do you make your own knife strainer or do you import it from Japan?
This?
Yeah.
I'm going to get some made actually in Sakai. I just ordered a few. This one, I want to have the cross ditch as well, or to work like this. This I can just only do this. So I just ordered a few. That's a little bit better because this one doesn't have any tapered handle part. That one has the tapered handle as well. So and
you didn't want to get into woodworking.
No, and we did a few attempts actually making those thing, right?
Yeah, we got a few homemade ones in the shops.
Yeah, like we had the old not usable. This says Bendy stick on them.
Bendy stick.
Yeah. This wasn't really good. It cracked on the one place, and stuff like that. It needed much bigger slots. So we did.
So what makes a good bendy stick? Like for the folks watching, like maybe DJ Sergietto can't make their own.
Yeah.
If you were to make one, what would you recommend?
I'll probably get pretty nice stick piece like this, at least, and the few slots. One goes that. The other one, you can do a little bit more finesse. Also, I want to have the slit that goes like this and this. Oops, sorry.
Like an X.
X, yeah, goes like this. That's what we are going to actually get. I just placed an order. 5 of those coming to us. It's basically
nice.
one for each stores.
Cool.
Yeah. So,
great question, folks. Keep them coming.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do. All right, next. So I just finished up on this bevel. If you look now, there isn't much lines lit there anymore. It just blended in very nice, right?
Yeah, it's looking really smooth.
Yeah. There's still some spots, but let's move on. One of my favorite stone, the Sharpening Glass 2000. I had the Sharpening 2000 stone in our store before. I really loved it and spent a few times, quite a few hours where to get them, and finally found a guy. Finally met the guy in Germany who actually manufactures those, and finally started getting those. 2000's great. It's it acts like a slightly finer 1000, so it has really nice grindability and everything. This is good. Good, I guess, the tool to tell you what different stone does to the convex edge. Convex edge. Because convex edge, when you're sharpening the way that I'm sharpening right now, especially the little bit harder stones like this, it doesn't touch. If the bevel is completely flat and do this, this bevel will look very nice and even, right? Because it touches all the way. Because I'm sharpening a convex edge with a little bit more hotter stone that I was sharpening, you can bring this like line up again.
I see. Because it's not perfectly flat, you've got that curve and it's kind of hitting those ridges.
Exactly. But again, you can use other stones to hide this one if you want to, right? So like generally speaking, softer stones start to work on those spots, like little low spots. Harder stones, they try to show the those glitter lines if that the bevel is round, right? So I'm going to actually start to finish with this a little bit of softer, soft stone.
And what stone is that?
So I went back to Knifewear 1000. Back to Knifewear 1000.
And why are you going back from the 2000?
I didn't realize that 2000 will leave that much of mark, so I'm like, I will go back and blend them first. Oftentimes the sharpening, like when you thought you're done and you test the edge, or see that the look that puts on, and you're like, I have to go back. I just sharpened the one of the Masakagi Yuki Petty that had the big chip on, and I thought I'd remove all the chips and start thinning and finish it up. And when I realized that there is a tiny bit of crack on top of the chip, so I basically had to do it all. Like start.
That is the absolute worst, when you've just spent an hour or two fixing a knife and making it beautiful, and then you just have to start it all over again.
Yeah. Well, for those of you who's following my Instagram, I'll be posting one knife photo, probably about an hour or so. But just to warn you, when you're shipping or when you're bringing your knife in to get it sharpened, just clean it. Don't bring the knife with the food on.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah. It came all the way from somewhere and it still got the food on the blade. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
The number of things that we've had to clean off of knives that got brought in for sharpening, like leftover salmon. I've had knives that are just covered in salmon, like the handle, and like it's. I used to work in kitchens, and I was a pretty clean person, and I'm shocked by what some people just leave on their knives.
Yeah.
Spears blood. That's always nice when somebody brings in a knife with blood on it.
Yeah, I know.
And hair.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah. And James Wang says, "Ew." Yeah. Well, James Wang owns Shigafusas, so I don't think he'll be doing that.
No. No.
Sergio says, "Seaman or salmon?" Salmon with an L, the fish. Sergio Oto's also got another good question, which you're probably going to get to pretty soon, but can you put a micro bevel on a single bevel knife, and should you?
I think you should. I do for deba for sure. Deba bojo like these ones, or to cut the fish bones and stuff like that. You see the angle that I'm holding up right now? It's not much. Like this is not like, and the back is flat, right? So the angle that this being sharpened, just the bevel, is, I don't know, like 8 degrees, like 10 degrees. It's too thin for the for the going like knife that meant to go through the bones.
That's like a straight razor.
Yeah. Interesting thing about this Koba or the micro bevel here. When I was talking to this Masashi Fujiwara-san from this Tsukiyama Hamono, he's a huge sharpening nerd, and what he's told me is that he puts about 45-degree Koba on this one.
Wow.
I used to put about 30 degrees. 45-degree Koba, because what he tells me is that that's when you like pour, say, I guess the steel sand, like just drop it from one spot and try to make a pile of it. That's a natural angle that the steel will create. And for him, it like makes sense. It's a natural, angle. So I'm like, sure.
That's a bit superstitious for me, but yeah, why not?
But yeah, but Koba for Deba definitely. Yanagiba, Deba and Usuba definitely. Anything that touches on something a little bit more harder stuff, like a the Usuba is the vegetable knife, but also could be a multi-purpose knife that you use it on the cutting board. When you're using a cutting board without the micro bevel, Usuba with the very thin bevel like that, it will chip it very, very, very easy. I've done it not only once, but a few times. I thought, I grabbed the Kitaoka-san's 210 Usuba, and the first thing I did after I bought it was to sharpen up all the Koba up, and that was one of the sharpest thing I've ever used. Then when I realized after cutting all the green onions, I had a little chip on the tip of my knife, and it was not even like scraping action or anything like that. So it was not fragile.
Wow. Sergio Otto says he just had some questions about the audio quality, and I just wanted to mention I've been working on getting us better quality cameras and microphones for these live streams. So in the next month, you'll see us upgrade the quality of our video and the quality of our audio, and hopefully just get better at this whole thing. So for those of you that have been listening and sticking around and tuning in, it's super appreciated and amazing. And your patience and faith will be rewarded with better videos soon. Thank you very much. Also, Sergio Otto says it's almost 2 a.m. in the morning there. Where are you? You must be in Europe somewhere, or Africa maybe. But thanks for tuning in at almost 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, thank you. That's that's quite a bit away. 2 a.m. I wonder if it's like somewhere in Asia. No.
That could be.
Japan is like a 9 a.m. right now.
Oh, there we go. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Right on.
Nice.
Well, hello to Bulgaria. Next to Greece. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking Eastern Europe made sense.
Mm-hmm. What's it's a Friday night, right? So.
Yeah. For those of you watching on a Friday night, thanks for tuning in. If you do have questions, please leave them in the comments. I'm happy to shout them out, and Naoto, who knows much more than me about knives, is happy to answer them.
So I'm starting to get the little nice polish right here. Still a little bit more wavy. Some parts gets a little bit more, almost like a mirror. You can see my cell phone right there.
Wow.
See what kind of finish I'm going to put this one on.
And which stone is that?
This is the Kencho K3000. It's pretty soft stone for something like this. Softer stone either polishes very well or gives you really nice so-called kasumi finish. Kasumi finish is the like really nice contrast on a knife like this. Like it's got the light polish right here and a smoky finish like this. And it really depends on how I sharpen them and how much pressure, how much water there is.
Sergio Otto says his wife probably thinks that he's watching adult videos online. Little does she know, he's watching Naoto rub a deb on a whetstone. I don't know about you, Naoto, but before I worked at Knifewear, I used to spend, before I went to bed, I'd go to knifewear.com and I'd browse through pretty pictures of knives before I went to bed, because I was a cook and I was broke and I didn't have any nice knives yet.
Right. Well, that's healthy-ish things to do.
Yeah.
Just move to the Kencho K6000. See what that finish this gives.
And are you doing this to polish the edge, or are you just doing it to give the bevel a nice finish?
I'm a little bit more like, it's like makeup. It's make it try to look pretty. So last edge is really to put micro bevel, which I will give about this angle. I may give a little bit more, but like this. This is really to make the knife the pretty look.
For those of you watching, if you're a fan of what Naoto does, go follow him on Instagram at Naoto KW, Naoto KW, because he posts a lot of really cool repairs. He posts an explanation of the whole process when he does a repair or a knife polishing. So there's a lot of little nuggets of knowledge you can pick up from there. Another good question from our buddy in Bulgaria. What pressure do you apply when sharpening laser knives, like really thin knives, like a Kotetsu, Takamura, or other knives like that? He's afraid he'll ruin the geometry if he applies too much pressure.
You want to apply the same pressure all the way. That's really the key, because if you press too much on the tip, and that's when you are grinding more metal off. So make sure you are applying pretty much the same pressure. You could definitely put a little bit more pressure than you may think. Like it's good, but it's really the consistency is really the key. Someone I think the other day mentioned that they want to send me a the knife that has a little flat spot from the sharpening. That is one. I think I don't know if the Sean Sean I think still watching, but that's part of how much pressure you're applying. Also, the angle that you want to follow through. Like, so there are two factors goes in there. It doesn't get as nice kasumi as I want it, so I may just gonna cheat sometime.
So in general, though, you shouldn't be pressing too hard. And
No.
when you do press, you should be maintaining a consistent pressure.
Yeah. So I got the nice like polish here, like like here you can kind of see.
Wow.
But starting to like smoke up a little bit. Here. Yeah.
Wow.
My rib case. What I would do is I find this little finger stone. This is the piece of uchigumori that we had. We still have a few bigger pieces that's I keep myself for sharpening.
And what finger stone is that? What sort of is it natural? Is it a certain grit?
It's a natural stone. It's called the uchigumori. Uchigumori stone is the stone that used to polish a the Japanese swords and such. This particular uchigumori, we got it from the mountain called the Ohira. And Ohira uchigumori is very treasured, I guess, among those swordsmiths in Japan. So we were kind of lucky that we got the few uchigumori stones from Japan. And what this does is that it's soft enough to scratch the what you call a softer stone. As most of you know, Japanese knives are made with much harder stone on the core or the edge and a soft steel on the outside, right? So outside steel, the softer stone like this will scratch up to make a really nice, nice and kind of misty look, but it doesn't polish as like on at the edge. So the end results will be a hole. It's got the knife.
Oh.
I'm just gonna do it a little bit. Evens it out really nicely,
No kidding.
right? So it's a little bit of cheating to make it look pretty. So you don't see any lines, but still has a nice convex to it. That was the first point. Like today's.
That's the whole reason we're here today.
Yeah. So
while we're not wrapping up quite yet, but while we're kind of answering more questions and Naoto's finishing up here, if there's a subject somebody wants to see next week or in a future episode, let us know. We're on every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Last week, a lot of viewers suggested that we do a convex grind and really wanted to see that. So if there's something that folks in the comments want to see us do next week, let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate.
If you want to see a full-scale repair works and stuff like that, we should be able to accommodate. Like really, start to finish, hour is good. Like by talking about it and stuff like that, I may have to use one of those wheels, but we can definitely show you how we do it on the wheels as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see a full chip repair because that's a really interesting process. And I think there's a lot of important technique that goes into that.
Okay, so the after I polish the bevel, that looks pretty nice here. I will put the last edge coat Koba or the micro bevel. Again, this is flat on the bevel. I will add quite a bit of angle to the knife here. Because the backside is flat, I give about 30 degrees or slightly more and a few strokes. And if you sharpen your deba good enough, few strokes like this will give the nice burr.
Wow.
Yeah. This is 4,000 grit that I'm using right now. 4,000 is good. It does give the pretty nice edge in between sharp and the smooth as well.
Got another question here from Serge. Toishi whetstones. Have you heard of the Tanaka Toishi whetstone?
Not really. It may not be the sharpening company or the Toishi company. There are only a few Toishi companies in Japan. Also, there are Toishi companies or the branding of the Toishis that manufactured by different people and different, I guess, manufacturers and put their name on. Sometimes they work very closely together to come up with the specific specs. Like Kencho series that we have right now, I'm not sure who actually made them, but they are not the manufacturer. They talk to manufacturers to come up with the stones that they characteristics and grindability and stuff like that they want. So no, I have not heard, but pretty curious. There are a few stones that I'm pretty curious to use. Some Suehiros, which we are not going to get anytime soon, but we have. We are able to start get probably more Suehiro stones soonish.
So that was a Uchigumori fingerstone that you were using before, right?
Oh, okay. Asking for natural stone?
Yeah.
Tanaka?
The natural stone you were using was Tanaka?
No. This one is the Ohira. Is the mountain.
Okay.
And Tanaka is the name of the usually last name of the person. So natural stones usually have the mountain name, like Atago is mountain name, Ohira, Ozuku, Shobudani, and those ones are the place. So I'm not quite sure if there's any. Oh, it's actually pretty nice. This hasn't been this nice for a little while. So
Is that your demo?
yeah. But yeah, not quite sure. But really, what matters is that the how it reacts to your knife, what you're sharpening, and the finish that you want or the edge that you want as well. So, but yeah, if you can give us a little bit more detail, I could probably answer your question about natural stone Tanaka.
Cool. Sorry, Kyle Bolden was wondering, those finger stones that you're using, would they be Ha or G?
Yeah, it really depends. The Ha or G is determined by the people who use them. I know the Morihei in Asakusa, they do categorize these two, and by G or Ha. What we did is that we got the chunk of stones and we broke them into pieces. So it can be G or Ha, depends on how they react. That's what
Okay. So his second question was, he's only used a little piece that he got from the garage sale, wondering if there's much or any variation. It sounds like there would be some variation.
I mean, like we got this chunk of piece and I broke them with a chisel. And in order to form that big chunk of piece, it's probably, probably 100,000 years, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, it's a sedimentary stone, right? And it's just been
yeah.
pressed under a mountain for a few 100,000 or million years, right?
There will be some, try some pieces out. That's my. Generally, it's pretty good though. It's it gives you really nice tsuya for the G. So G is the this softer stone. Ha is the hard stone.
It's using natural stones is kind of like brewing with wild yeast or using a sourdough starter. Sometimes it's a little more excited, sometimes it's a little less. Like it's kind of depends on the exact portion you're using.
Yeah, and yeah, Jizya and Hazia will be determined by when you use them on the different stones, different knives as well. So even if you get the stone that says Hazia, don't be surprised. Like, I don't know if they all test those stones before ships out. So yeah, it could be just the branding. But yeah, the explanation I got from that the maker or the who owns the mountain and sends to us, they're like, yeah, it really depends on the hardness, and hardness varies in like centimeter or millimeters. So I was like, yeah, sure. That's how I explain to the customers.
Super variable.
Because you know better than we do. they know better than we do, right?
Yeah. Well, Kyle says thank you very much for that explanation. Serge says you came across the Tanaka Toishi whetstones on the Hitohira site, and apparently they're natural stones, but they sold out instantly.
Yeah, some natural stones sold out instantly. Depends on who he gets from. I'm not quite sure. Again, Tanaka-san is the name of the person. Maybe it's like we sometimes sell Takeda natural stones, and it's not like Takeda.
Yeah, he didn't go chip them out of the mountain himself.
We get it from Takeda, and the stones that he likes to use. That's why we put the Takeda name on it. So maybe one of the Tanaka-san. I wonder which Tanaka though. I was at the Yoshikazu, and he's not. He's a blacksmith, and he doesn't really have that much of sharpening stones. So it could be someone,
Cool.
But yeah, again, natural stones are really hard. You can't be 100% sure and trust what it says. That's why you often go to those places, like say, like Totoriya. I went in Kyoto. That I get to kind of use their stones, and see how it works. So in North America, it is really hard, but it's really hard.
Cool. Really great questions today, guys. If anybody else has any questions they want to ask, please let us know. Naoto, were you going to work on that knife a little more? I got one more question so far.
Yeah, I guess like one more question, and it's been an hour, so we can
Yeah,
wrap.
yeah. It is Friday. We gotta get you home and get some beer in you.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Dork, who's been tuning in lately, says, Naoto, how would you go about mirror polishing the primary bevel? I currently have Chaucer 220, 400, 800, and 3000. They also have a Kitayama 8000. Is there anything else they should add to the lineup, or should they maybe add like a natural stone for finishing?
The natural stone will never get you a mirror polish that people will think is mirror. Natural stone can get really close to the mirror, but there's always a little bit of a reflection that that's because natural stones, how they're made out of or what they're made out of is the bunch of the so-called abrasives, but it's not really. It's oftentimes they call it the fossilized microorganisms. They act like but those size of those abrasives are not as quite even. In order for those stones to make the mirror polish, you have to have the direct. You have to have just one same polish, I guess, the same grain on all the way. Otherwise, the light comes in and it flecks out to all the other directions. So
right, it's going to refract light a little differently depending
exactly. So the natural stones, the synthetic stones are definitely the way to go. Also, you have to be careful. If you look at any of the mirror polish ones, most like these were attained by the buffing wheels and the chromium oxide and aluminum oxide and chromium oxide, and those type of stuff that pretty soft, that touches all surfaces, right? So if you were going to make a mirror polish at home, make a base with the sharpening stones up to probably couple thousand, like 3,000. Then sandpaper and the diamond paste. That's probably the way to really to get to the mirror polish, or buffing wheels if you have some. But buffing
should use the
sorry.
Should you use the diamond paste on a cork or a rag or anything particular that's going to work well?
Some people use it on leather. Leather kind of strips off really easy. So some I've seen people use on just regular cotton, like say cotton swab. It's small, so you try to make something a little bit bigger, similar, and buff it up. Because I've seen the people on the YouTube, like some Japanese person on the YouTube, mirror polish the coin using that diamond paste with the with different cotton swabs. But I don't think it's good for the kitchen knives. Like
yeah, no. Some people on the internet also have a lot of time and patience.
Yeah, there's one that says like, "Oh, I mirror polish my knife, spending 20 hours."
Blank says they remembered about this way too late and just tuned in. We are still talking about convectivity. We've got more into answering viewer questions, but this video, as all of our live videos are, is going to be saved onto our YouTube channel, so you can go back as soon as we're done, and the whole video is going to be up there. Naoto was talking about the basic theory. Naoto, do you want to do a quick recap before we go of the process you went through today?
Yeah. So basically, what I did today, I have the little drawing with a new camera setup. Makes it a little bit easy, right? Here. So what we did today, in order to attain this nice convex edge on the flat stone, I had to make several different angles. So what I did was started out with this flat angle, then this flat angle, and this flat angle. I did about 2 on my deba. Depends on what type of edge that you are sharpening. You can do that. But when you do this though, you ended up making flat lines like these. So I used a little bit of softer stone to break this edges down. The reason why I start from the this last close to the edge, the closest to the edge first, is that the in order to expose the core steel, as well as the you can control that the carve nicer this way. If I start from the bevel up this angle, it's really hard to know when to kind of change the angle, and oftentimes gets very thin like this. Yes.
Cool. And what stones did you use today to polish up your deba?
I did quite a few stones. Overall, I used probably 5 or 6 stones. Started out with the stone that's the so-called Kencho series of Kencho stones Itadaki series. 1000 grit to check the concave or convexivity, or how convex that the knife is. Then I go back down to Sharpening glass 220 and went back. Then in order to break down those high peak spots, I used the Knifewear 1000. And I did Kencho 3000 to try to make the Kasumi finish. It didn't work as well, so I finished up with the some natural stone, the finger stones, to get the nice edge. So now my edge is trying to get the right, nice and nice and even, and it's got the really nice polish and contrast. I finished the last edge up with the so-called the last edge with the Sharpening glass 4000 on this bevel and the back bevel, so that the now it's sharp. I'm just gonna.
Our buddy Serge is signing off. He says thank you so much for the lecture and Q&A. He's got many more questions, but he'll keep some for the next session. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. Amazing questions today. We love it when people ask questions and get into the really technical stuff. So please tune in again and ask more questions.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in today, and I hope the this camera right here worked out pretty well. And hopefully we'll see you guys next time. We'll cover like different topics every week. So if you have anything that you want to ask, just send us an email, hello@knifewear.com, and or leave the comment on the YouTube channel and stuff like that. So
yeah, I review our YouTube comments every day. So if there's something you want to see next time, you can leave a comment on this video once it goes up, and we'll be happy to work that in next week. I think, Naoto, you're probably going to do a repair next Friday, kind of go through the process of fixing a chip. But if there's something else folks want to see afterwards, let us know. We've got Chris and I believe Mike live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, making fried chicken. So if you want to see some great kind of nice skills in cooking tomorrow, Chris is going to break down a chicken with a Urasuki, make some fried chicken out of it, probably eat it on camera if anybody wants to see that. And then, yeah, some great stuff coming up next week too. Kevin's taking the week off, so we've got some guest stars next week. I'm going to be making kimchi on Saturday. We've got a couple different shows on Tuesday and Thursday as well.
Nice. Looking forward. Alrighty. Well, have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
All right. See everybody next time.